Hi, everybody. It is July 2nd, 2026, and today we are going to be covering the MOU happening between Trump and Iran, whether or not that's actually going to be a real thing. And we're also going to be covering all of the major news surrounding the big deal in America. Is America now a third world country? That's the real question, right? Are we really serious as a nation, or is all of this just going to pretty much take us to a place of poverty as a country? Again, we're going to be covering all of the big news. It's July 2nd, 2026, and we're going to be covering everything that's going on with the MOU. We're going to be covering everything with this Iran war and really what's going on in the news today, all of the biggest information and all of the major inflection points of our time. So again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, support the information, and support the news. So again, what do you think about where things are at today? I think it's going to be interesting. Honestly, I think this Iran war is not going to end anytime soon. I do see that things are probably going to keep ramping up, right? We have all of the politicians around Trump, and again, we have Trump himself, who are pretty much doing whatever the Israelis say. We've been covering this for the past month, and also be sure to bear with us on this live stream. We're trying a few different streaming methods out. We're using Caster. And so, again, we're going to see if we can stream to multiple platforms. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on Rumble, Kick, X, or we're trying to stream on X. And then we're also streaming to Twitch as well. So we're streaming everywhere we possibly can. So be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel, grow the information. Again, we're also going to be building up our infrastructure here on the show, getting more advanced tech and everything that we really need to make sure that we have a higher quality experience for you, right? It's kind of tough. It's not easy, again, especially when you're living in Michigan. And again, it's 106 degrees on the heat index here today. So it's been a hot one this week. But anyways, let's break into the news. Let's get into the information. I think it's going to be a big day. Again, when you look at all of this, just beware. This is some crazy stuff that's going on today in the media. And all I know is it's up to us to basically decide on whether or not we're going to take America into our own hands or not. So again, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So again, we are looking at all of the breaking news here. The Iran war continuing on. In my opinion, again, we have the MOU peace deal, which is supposed to essentially, stop this war. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're actually going to see a ramp up of the war. And we're actually, interestingly enough, we are weeks away from an economic collapse. We have a shortage of oil, and it's really been affecting everything. So again, U.S.-Iran latest talks pause for slain Ayatollah's funeral after Trump and mediators claim progress. So if you've been following Mario Nawfal's account on X, and if you've been following some of these military analysts, they believe that this could have been a really dangerous day. Oh, sorry, I whistled there. This could have been a really dangerous day in the media. And because they were thinking that the Israelis might have performed some kind of assassination attempt on Khamenei's son's life, again, for attending this funeral. Qatari and Pakistan mediators on Thursday said that the next meetings between the Iranian and U.S. negotiators would be scheduled at the earliest possible time after funeral commemorations for Iran's former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes on February 28th, and his funeral is set to last from July 4th to July 9th. Iran's chief negotiator on Thursday called Iran to avenge Khamenei's killing by coming out en masse for funeral events. Iranian authorities say 15 to 20 million people and representatives from 30 countries are expected to attend. And then on top of that, we also have President Trump saying there was progress Wednesday as U.S. and Iranian officials resumed talks in Doha via mediators, telling reporters the denuclearization of Iran is moving along well. Qatar and Pakistan also say positive progress was made. So despite all of the talk, again, the markets seem to be having a lot of good responses to a lot of this. So, as much as I might think this war is really going to just continue on, I think it's only going to continue on because I don't see the Israelis really ending their war with Lebanon anytime soon. I see that they are going to continue moving forward with all of their strikes. And I don't see there being any kind of slowdown when it comes to that. And that is a big part of the MOU, is that the Israelis would have to basically cease fire. And to the Israelis, the enemy seizes, and again, when the enemy seizes, the Israelis fire, right? Enemy seizes, Israel fires. So that's kind of how it seems to work. Why Israeli officials fear Iran-backed Hezbollah could still rearm despite Lebanon deal exclusive. The Post assesses Hezbollah's remaining capabilities, Iran's role in rebuilding the group, and whether Israel could have reached the Lebanon deal 3 months earlier. So again, when we see all of this, it's pretty pressing to see where it's taking us today. This comes from the Jerusalem Post. The current state of play regarding whether Hezbollah can rearm itself in the ceasefire period and how well it and rapidly it can do so, highly dynamic. On one hand, the speed and scope of rearming Hezbollah has been radically reduced, while on the other hand, the terrorist organization is far from running out of options for smuggling and new responses. And then an advertisement to mess up everything I was doing, because ads are everywhere today. The Jerusalem Post has learned this, with Iran potentially imminently receiving several $1 billion as part of the ceasefire deal with the United States, and due to its eventually receiving up to $300 billion, top Israeli officials are extremely worried that Hezbollah could make a comeback even after the battering it has taken over the last almost 3 years. So again, thanks to the Israelis, the United States is now paying the Iranians $300 billion of your tax dollars, by the way. Farmers and everything that they're producing is going to be going to Iran. So isn't that awesome? The challenge is posing rearming Hezbollah. First, there are new challenges Hezbollah must face if it wants to rearm. Before December 8, 2024, the Assad regime allowed Hezbollah Iran free rein to pass through its territory to smuggle weapons to the Lebanese terror group. Until then, the Post understands Hezbollah and Iranian operatives could show up anywhere in Syria with a simple slip of paper authorizing them to get through any area to accomplish their smuggling goals. This included large trucks carrying oversized long-range precision missiles and other strategic weapons. And don't forget that the Israelis just basically struck a ton of underground tunnels that contained Hezbollah kind of military hardware. Following the fall of the Assad regime, the new Sunni regime of the President Ahmad al-Shara decided to chase and hunt down Hezbollah Iranian Shiites, daring to attempt smuggling weapons through Syria. Thus, the Lebanese terror group lost once open highways and many smuggling routes. The Post also learns that Hezbollah has lost much of its large industrial-scale manufacturing capability for weapons both in Syria and in Lebanon. However, despite Hezbollah being less able to threaten Israel with strategic smuggled weapons, the Post understands that the organization is succeeding at smuggling lower-grade weapons via Syria and through other means, especially since the ceasefire has kicked in. For example, Hezbollah smugglers can sneak across the positions of the porous Lebanese-Syrian border. This is true for Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, since none of the borders are hermetically sealed. Moreover, the Post understands that there are long-standing historical cross-border smuggling networks in those areas, which carry on no matter who is ruling. All of this is true even though Israel has directly hit Hezbollah's special smuggling unit 4400. The remaining smugglers may be less efficient and talented, but there are still smugglers. So that's what they say, right? That the smugglers and Hezbollah continues on, so the Israelis have to continue fighting, which means it violates the MOU, right? The Israelis, according to the MOU, have to end this entire deal, or this entire war between the Lebanese and Hezbollah. And what we're seeing, it just keeps going on and on and on. So to me, I think the Iran war is going to go on and on and on, because the Iranians are not going to allow the Israelis to continue doing what they're doing. Right now, we just have a funeral, and again, everything that Trump keeps saying about this MOU and the peace talks, he'll make a threat towards Iran, and then the Iranians will say that negotiations have not taken place. They'll deny a lot of things. So who knows? It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, as we've been saying over the past few weeks, really over the past few months. But this is why I believe the Iran war is going to continue on. Could the same deal with Lebanon have been sealed on March 16th? Another issue concerns questions as to whether Israel could have struck the same deal with Lebanon that it ended up agreeing to in late June, already as far back as March. On March 16th, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun publicly appealed to Israel to begin negotiations over a ceasefire in which he would place a path toward normalization and peace on the table. Israeli political officials summarily rejected the offer as too little, too late, saying they would continue to demolish Hezbollah until it was forced to disarm. While Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed that Hezbollah is down to 8% of its pre-2023 war 150,000 rocket arsenal, the Post understands that nailing down the exact volume of rockets is complicated, and even that statistic would leave them with well over 10,000 rockets, not to mention a new first-person view, FPV, drone fleet. So again, cumulatively, this is still a large supply of weapons along with Hezbollah's remaining forces. Netanyahu has said 9,000 Hezbollah fighters were killed, though pre-war estimates were that it had 30,000 to 50,000 fighters. Leaves the Lebanese terror organizations as a significant, if weakened, threat. If Hezbollah is not beaten, and if it is not agreeing to disarm, even in July, this was the point of cutting a deal with the Lebanese government for around 3 months when it could have been sealed in mid-March. So again, there is a debate on this issue, but at least those in the Israeli political and defense establishment who believe in continuing the war was worth it to defend their positions as follows. The view would be that Aoun is ready for a deal, but under very different conditions, and even if Hezbollah is far from beaten, the Hezbollah of March of this year still posed a greater threat than what is left of Hezbollah today. Israelis also viewed Aoun's March offer as framed around a full withdrawal as an opening condition. In contrast, the late June deal flips the burden onto the Lebanese armed forces, starting with partial IDF withdrawals from only 2 locations in favor of LAF presence in order to check that Hezbollah is kept out before the IDF undertakes additional withdrawals, the Post has learned. Officials view this change in emphasis as making the late June Lebanon deal into the antithesis of the Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, with Iran, in which the Islamic Republic did not commit to very much upfront, at most, possibly informally, to nuclear concessions at the tail end of the deal. Also, the Post understands, and again, it totally lost my spot because that stuff's awesome. Anyways, we got the pretty much moral of the story here. Again, I think this Iran war is going to continue just because the Israelis are going to continue on with everything that's going on. They're going to continue with Lebanon. They're going to take the Golan Heights. They're going to take the southern border of Lebanon for that security buffer zone, ultimately. And then, again, Erdogan has said the same thing, essentially, that the Israelis are coming to take Turkey. And that's happening. And who's stopping the Israelis? Well, it's not Trump, right? It's not the United States. We can make as many moves as we want. But ultimately, I mean, Trump has been the most pro-Israel president we've seen to date. And so when I look at all of this, it just doesn't look like anytime soon we're going to be ending this Iran war. Meanwhile, we also have Russia and Ukraine to think about. Ukraine's war latest, Putin briefed on the Kiev attacks after a night of horror in Ukraine. Russia has launched its largest attack on the Ukrainian capital since mid-June, collapsing apartment blocks. Local authorities have accused Moscow of deliberately killing civilians following the latest. Now, again, we also have to remember that a lot of these buildings did contain Ukrainian military personnel, and they were they're basically storing a lot of military hardwares and building a lot of military tech. A lot of intelligence operations were taking place in these civilian buildings. So again, who knows if they're actually civilian buildings or if they're being occupied by Ukrainian military, which is what a lot of reporters are saying. And the Russians have given many warnings on Kiev for the people of Kiev to leave, civilians of Kiev to leave, that, you know, there's basically going to be a war there. If I've been tracking this entire Russia-Ukraine war, in my opinion, it seems like the Russians have been playing by the rules of war, the Geneva Convention and the Nuremberg Code. All of these things have been pretty much kept by the Russians. They've been abiding by these laws of war. And if you follow Scott Ritter's analysis, he's been saying the same thing. Really, that the Ukrainians were the ones who struck first, and the Ukrainians ultimately are the ones who are losing this war, and they're continuing the war when they shouldn't be. Right? Zelensky, who Trump complimented, by the way. Trump complimented Zelensky that he's doing well in this war, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, the Ukrainians should end this war and concede, because the Ukrainians are losing. I mean, they're throwing a lot of their own people into white vans. A lot of civilians are being thrown into white vans. It's been pretty bad for the Ukrainians. And ultimately, the Ukrainians are being used by the United States government, right? And the Russians know this. The Russians have basically been telling the Ukrainians, hey, stop doing what you're doing, you know? So it's kind of an interesting thing to see. We'll see who ends the war. But to me, it's just been tit-for-tat strikes from what I've been looking at with the Ukraine-Russia war. And it's just back-to-back drone warfare. The Ukrainians have been striking Russian oil refineries. And then the Russians have been striking a lot of Ukrainian training zones, training bases, different areas deep inside of Kiev. So again, number of dead in Kiev continues to rise after the massive attack. Russia launched 74 missiles and almost 500 drones. Night of horror, Ukraine demands allied response. And Putin briefed on the attack as Kremlin acknowledges the division. Women found out under the rubble. Women have been found under the rubble. Strikes leave huge crater in Kiev. And Zelensky is hoping to meet with Trump again to ask for more money, of course, because we've been paying for this entire war, right? You know, we all remember when Biden was president, and essentially you had, again, the people in that administration signing missiles that were going over to basically, you know, hit the Russians. So again, we were funding this war. It really started under the Biden administration with this Ukrainian war, really, and we struck the Kremlin with the Ukrainian government. And again, you had U.S. politicians who were signing missiles that were going to hit the Russians. So it's pretty bad when we look at all of it. Ukrainian Nord Stream suspect charged, and then live reporting according to Nick Alipor. So again, massive attack on Kiev kills at least 21 and wounds nearly 90. We're pausing our coverage for the moment. Thank you for following along. Russian forces launched a massive attack on the Ukrainians' capital overnight, killing at least 21 people, according to the latest official update. Another 85 were injured after drones and missiles struck residential buildings in Kiev. So again, this is happening. Pictures showed collapsed multi-story buildings, fires flaring up across the city, and huge crater after multiple explosions were heard. So this is starting to look a lot like a World War II setting, isn't it? Or I guess you could call it World War III. The enemy has once again deliberately targeted residential neighborhoods and killed civilians, said Timer Kachenko, the head of the capital's military administration. We have sustained extensive damage and a significant number of casualties, including children. So again, this is footage of the efforts and strikes aftermath. So let's see if we can actually play that.
We innovate because
and of course it's going to make us watch an ad. Everything is an ad today. How ridiculous. Why is everything an advertisement? Every single thing you do, no matter where you go, you got to watch an ad for it. It's honestly kind of stupid.
With over 400
really
global
ridiculous.
Partners, we are ranked as the world's most international university
I mean, honest to God, like kind of crazy.
In 2024, 2025, and 2026.
And honestly, when I think this is just going to be nuts. As this kind of waits, just making sure all of this is going. I think it's crazy. This war just keeps going on and on and on. So again, what do you guys think about this Iran war? Go back to where we were here. Sorry, we were just checking everything here. Go back to where we were at. There we go. Okay, so what do you think about this? Let's rewind this so you can get the full picture here. So these were the Russian strikes on Kiev that you're about to look at here. At least 17 people were killed in a night of Russian attacks on Ukraine. The costs of war are not pretty. At least 86 people were injured in the attack that left homes and buildings destroyed. Russia launched 74 missiles and 496 over on this entire war. They could have been going hard like this the entire time, and it's sad, it's tragic, but really, I mean, the Ukrainians do need to concede this war, in my opinion, or it's just going to be really bad for Ukraine. The Ukrainians cannot win this war from what we're looking at right now. And again, I'm not against Ukraine. I'm just kind of analyzing this from my point of view. Again, the Russians, yes, you could say the Russians are running out of money and there's a lot of problems with the Russian military. All these things are true. But again, we do have to be objective about what's actually going on. You know, Russia's defense ministry said its massive attack used long-range, high-precision weapons launched from the air, land, and sea, and drones. The ministry said it was a retaliation for Ukraine's attacks on Russian civil infrastructure without elaborating. A lot of oil refineries were struck by the Ukrainians, by the way. Ukraine has recently intensified strikes deeper into the Russian territory, triggering a widespread fuel crisis in the world's third biggest oil producer and forcing it to ration fuel. Europe's correspondent Elster Bunkel explains that this has increased pressure on Vladimir Putin and may have prompted him to lash out. So again, here's another clip covering some of this entire thing, what he had to say about it. And again, with a 30-second ad that it's going to make us watch. I'm so sick of ads these days. Like, I'm really getting tired of it. And it's a Hong Kong ad. Like, sorry, it's not even an American ad. Like, 400 global partners. This is who I have to watch this advertisement for on my screen. Like, come on. Come on. Come on. Like, really, can you play like an ad that people are going to use and pay for and buy? Okay. So let's unmute this now.
It was coming. President Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, was in Dublin yesterday because Ireland takes over the presidency of the European Commission for the next 6 months. And so he was there as part of those celebrations. And he was in a news conference and said that they had intelligence that Moscow was planning this attack. And he warned all the civilians in
your discretion is
Kyiv
advised
to make sure that they either took shelter in bomb shelters or underground or heeded warnings. And the intelligence was right. For hours overnight, Kyiv shook to the sounds of explosions, hundreds and hundreds of missiles, ballistic missiles and cruise missiles, which the Ukrainians do struggle to shoot down, and drones, mainly residential, targeted at least one. The Ukrainians are having now into a real effect on the ability, and that is we're now really feeling the war, probably in a way that they haven't done in such a profound way for the last 4 years, and that in turn is putting a lot of pressure on Vladimir Putin, and Putin is not one who is going to be forced into a negotiation. And so what we're seeing is,
so again, when we look at that story,
what happened last night,
pretty wild.
Ramping it up, and that is
starting to glitch out a little bit, so we'll exit out of that.
And in one sense, it shows and it demonstrates the success that the Ukrainians are having. But of course,
so again, when we look at that story, it's pretty big. That's what's happening with the Russia-Ukraine war. Those are some of the updates there, and everything that we need to know. I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty horrible. Again, I think the Ukrainians are really losing this war against the Russians personally. The Ukrainians have struck hard on oil refineries in Russia, but ultimately at the same time, we also have this entire Iran war, which is holding everything up on the U.S. soil side of things. So who do you think's winning the Russia-Ukraine war? You tell me. But ultimately, in my opinion, I think the Russians are winning right now, and I think that we're being told a much different story because, again, the Ukrainians are basically being used as a proxy of the United States. We're basically fighting the Russians with the Ukrainians, and this started under the Biden administration, and now the Lindsey Grahams have been pushing this entire thing. So again, as we can see from the Strait of Hormuz today, moving on from that subject and moving on to the Strait of Hormuz and what's happening on the maps, the marine traffic, nothing is changing. It doesn't look like there's real progress being made. It doesn't look like there's a lot of flow-through traffic happening in the Strait of Hormuz, and it looks like we still have a lot of congestion in the areas of Fujairah, and a lot of anchored down crude oil tankers here. Again, not a lot of movement through the Strait of Hormuz. We have a lot of false vessels like we have this Devil Ray or whatever this was called. A lot of these different vessels that are kind of false vessels, and a lot of Omanian vessels are basically going ghost on this entire map. Okay, so then in the Persian Gulf, when we look at the Persian Gulf, we look around Karg Island, nothing's really changed. A lot of these vessels, if you go and look at them, are Iranian vessels, fishing vessels, which are oftentimes turned into gunboats and things like that. So Karg Island's not being taken. We have a large cluster of different crude oil tankers, and these areas here, same spots. Nobody's moving. So nothing's moved, nothing's really changed, at least from what we're able to see on marinetraffic.com. Kuwait City, where a lot of U.S. bases are. Again, Kuwait just got attacked, along with Bahrain, not too long ago, maybe like last week, I think. We also have Qatar, the guys who pay Tucker Carlson, and Qatar's also been getting hit, and we have a lot of military bases here. But again, as you can see, we have a lot of clustering of crude oil tankers in this area, and then Bahrain over here. So not a lot of movement in the Strait of Hormuz, and whatever they're saying on the news, nothing's really changed from a month ago. And again, we also have Bahrain, the Bab el Mandeb Strait, southwest Yemen here. And we still have the same amount of traffic we've had a while ago here. So nothing's really changed there from a long time ago. From about the last few months, this entire map pretty much looks identical. Nothing's really changing. There's no new patterns that we're really seeing. The Suez Canal pretty much has the same amount of traffic going through it, you know. Actually, we're starting to see a little bit more traffic, it looks like, going through the Suez Canal. Weeks ago, as we were looking at the Suez Canal, there was pretty much very limited traffic. Now it looks like we have at least a little bit of something going through there. But again, we also have a lot of anchored crude oil tankers in Port Said, and then, again, just south of the Suez Canal here in the Red Sea. So nothing's really too crazy in the Strait of Hormuz, and it's just telling us that basically there's not a lot of progress being made with this entire thing. So again, when we look at the oil prices, again, we also have WTI crude at $68.45. We have Brent crude at $71.57. We have Murban crude at $65.10, and natural gas is at $3.21. So again, Trump's statements, maybe his statements, a lot of the Truth Social posts, all these things are allowing these prices to go down a little bit. The Chinese have also probably had a lot to do with these prices being down for now, because it really benefits the retail investors. It benefits the retail people of the oil industry. But overall, oil companies want these prices to go up. So we'll see what happens with OPEC and the petroleum market. But I think these prices will go right back to above $100 a barrel, considering especially if we get back into this war with Iran. Looking into the cryptocurrency market and emerging markets, again, Bitcoin's at 61,000, so we're up a little bit from yesterday. The fear and greed index at 21. We were at 18 yesterday. Ethereum at $1,693.87. We have Binance at $556. We have XRP at $1.08. We moved up a little bit there. We have Solana at $80.56. Wow, Solana's up 20% in the last 7 days. That's kind of crazy. So Solana's moving up. And again, we have Hyperliquid up 3.74% in the last 7 days, 5% in the last 24 hours. So Hyperliquid's been doing pretty well and performing pretty well in the past couple months here. Stellar Lumen's pretty much going down, but it's been up in the past 7 days, about 11.76%. Cardano it's up 12% right now, 12.8% at 15 cents. And so when we look at all of these different markets, we're pretty much at a standstill, right? Until the Clarity Act passes, you're going to see the cryptocurrency market pretty much stay in the exact same place. So when we look at the prediction markets, we can also look at some of the popular predictions. Again, a lot of people are predicting France will win. 34% of people think France is going to win the World Cup. But I like to focus more on politics and what's going on with politics. So again, still, Gavin Newsom's leading the way for the Democratic National Committee nominee in 2028. And then for the Republicans, looks like J.D. Vance is leading the way at 40.25%. What do you think about J.D. Vance? Who do you think will win the Republican presidential nominee? Will it be J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Tucker Carlson, or Ron DeSantis? And for the Democrats, do you think it'll be Gavin Newsom, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, John Ossoff, or Kamala Harris? And between all of these people, who do you think is going to win? Again, Polymarket is saying the 2028 presidential election is going to come between Gavin Newsom and J.D. Vance. And I think if the American people had to pick one of these, it's going to end up being J.D. Vance. I'm not really a huge fan of J.D. Vance. I think J.D. Vance is ultimately going to be, maybe not the best guess. And then the presidential election nominee winner in 2028, again, 20% of people are saying J.D. Vance. 15.5% of people are saying Marco Rubio, 12.25% of people are saying Gavin Newsom, and 6.8% of people are saying AOC. So who knows what will happen with that? That's kind of a lot of the predictions there. Netanyahu, will he be out by December 31st or July 31st? It looks like December 31st is going to be the winning prediction here. We'll see if that changes. But it looks like all of these dates have been washed out. I think Netanyahu, I don't even know if he'll be out of power by then, even with the elections in October. We'll see. So it's going to be interesting to see where all of this goes ultimately when it comes to prediction markets and things like that. But that's kind of where we're sitting with the crypto market, poly market, and what's new there. When we jump over to gold, it looks like gold is up from yesterday, 1.49%. We're at $4,128.92. We have silver at $61.11 per ounce. So gold is pretty much, hey, I would say gold's on discount. Buy it up. Gold is always good to own as a hedge to a recession. Now, the interesting thing here is the stock market. The Dow jumps nearly 600 points to record close. NASDAQ slides as chip stocks suffer. Live updates. So again, the Dow Jones Industrial Average scared to record highs on Thursday as investors reacted to a weaker than expected no farm payrolls report for June, while the NASDAQ composite languished as semiconductors struggled once again. So again, when we look at the stock market here, Trump's been keeping this up. And at the end of the day, you also have Steve Warsh, who is the federal chair right now. He was supposed to lower interest rates, but this never happened. Yeah, right? Why did he not lower interest rates? Well, he went 180 degrees on what Trump predicted he was going to do, like everybody said was going to happen. And now he's basically going against his word. So we'll see what happens with the stock market, but I think that we have an imminent crash coming. And so hopefully that doesn't happen, but it's going to be interesting to see if we can actually get through all of this. If we can actually get to a market that's going to make sense and a place in the market that's actually going to get us to where we want to go. So now let's react to some videos in the media. This is why the title of this YouTube episode was titled, Is America a Third World Country Now? So we're going to go through a series of videos explaining, in my opinion, why the United States is really shooting itself in the foot and we are becoming a third world country. And we are allowing our country to die. And it starts with the Save America Act. Now, a lot of liberals in the world are going to say, oh, Brendan, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to politics. You know, for the first time, the Supreme Court and the House, they actually held up the Constitution and they did what they were supposed to do. Well, really, when it comes to the 14th Amendment was never meant to be abused the way that it's being abused today, right? A Nigerian woman comes to America at 8 months pregnant. She has a baby here. That baby can now go back to Africa, come back to America, become president. You know, basically an Ilhan Omar situation, basically a Vivek Ramaswamy situation. This is what I was trying to explain yesterday, but we were glitching out like crazy yesterday. So again, I want to play you these videos on why I think we need to change this Save America Act. We do need to have voter rights that do not allow illegal immigrants and anchor babies to vote. They shouldn't have the right to vote when there's already a chain migration crisis when it comes to this birthright citizenship issue. No other country has birthright citizenship, really. And again, you have South Africa right now that are driving out immigrants, which is really crazy. So it's really interesting to see how America, just because of the 14th Amendment and the misconstrued nature of how it was read and interpreted by our low IQ Supreme Court, again, Amy Coney Barrett, and again, some of the other women on our Supreme Court, who basically ruled in favor of the birthright citizenship remaining, mainly, again, because of conflict of interest also, right? You had politicized opinions from our own Supreme Court basically ruling on this. Amy Coney Barrett has a Haitian child, adopted Haitian child, and here she, you know, of course she would vote to keep birthright citizenship. And then you also have, again, an African-American Supreme Court justice who, in the Constitution now, it says they knew the assignment. And so it's written as she said it, and that's now in the Constitution as official language. So it's like, this is like the third world country behavior that I'm talking about. We have people in the Supreme Court who really cannot correctly interpret the laws of our Constitution without taking advantage of them and allowing these third world immigrants to come over here, flood our border, exploit all of our resources, and turn us into the same country that they fled from.
Attempted to tie the Save America Act with the National Defense Authorization Act for the Senate to take up. Johnson says he's now exploring other options to move the voter ID bill forward.
It is possible. We've got 2 or 3 different ideas on how to make the Save America measures fit into the budget reconciliation process. One of the ways to do it is to create a grant program to incentivize states to enact election integrity measures. There are other ways as well. We're discussing all those. That is going to be a big component of what we send to the Senate.
Yeah, and we need to send this to the Senate, and I think it really does need to be changed. You know, it's like you have to look at this, you have to see this and know that this is a major problem with the United States. This is a real flaw in our Constitution in the way that we actually interpret the law, because we cannot allow third world immigrants to come over to our country and exploit us of our resources. We just simply cannot. So again, this is from the Shadow of Ezra X account. Ben Shapiro has released an emergency warning to all Americans saying that if Democrats win the midterms, they will immediately investigate, impeach, and attempt to prosecute President Trump. Shapiro is concerned about military funding being cut and wants the U.S. military to continue fighting around the world. There's a possibility that President Trump gets impeached in the House and then convicted in the Senate. Why? Well, a lot of people are talking about President Trump's World Liberty financial deal and how he basically made hundreds of millions of dollars overnight, essentially, from scamming a bunch of his own voters who basically invested in World Liberty Financial and Trump meme coin, and essentially now he became a billionaire. And again, in the first term, Trump had no money. In this term, Trump is wealthier than he's ever been. And so these are some of the reasons that they're talking about why they can impeach Trump. And then you have Ben Shapiro over here saying, hey, no, actually, America, you need to keep this going because we need you to be fighting our war in Iran for us, Israel's war in Iran, because, again, that's who Ben Shapiro fights for, is the state of Israel. So this is really what's going on.
The Senate, they would move to impeach President Trump. There's an outside shot. They could even get a conviction in a Senate split between a Democratic majority and maybe some rogue Democratic senators. They, of course, will stymie any effort to refund our military, to restock THAADs, Patriot missiles, to build the new kind of military we need to actually challenge our enemies in the world. And again, there is, as I say, the possibility that President Trump gets impeached in the House and then even convicted in the Senate. That's all what happens if the Democrats win the Senate. So there's very, very serious stuff, and that sets it up for 2028. Because if Democrats control the Senate in 26 and the House in 26,
what's wrong with his
then
voice?
they are one step away from having a trifecta in 20.
Yeah, and so this is what Ben Shapiro had to say. But ultimately, Ben Shapiro just wants to continue fighting Iran at the end of the day. He wants this war to go on so the U.S. military can be strong, so that way we can continue fighting Israel's wars for them. And also, if Trump loses power, then basically the Democrats are going to put a check on Israel, which is probably a good thing because the Israelis have been taking over our entire country badly. So again, this is an analysis from Douglas McGregor.
And I haven't seen this in the Western press, but I'm told by my reliable sources that there was just an attempt to kill Zelensky, and a plot was discovered by the SBU, that's the Ukrainian secret police, with the help, I assume, of MI6, which is heavily represented in the headquarters, to kill Zelensky, and this has failed. And 7 people were rounded up and promptly shot who apparently were part of this attempt. So I think Zelensky knows he's in a lot of trouble. I think he knows that his government is on very fragile territory. So now let's get back to your question.
I'm sorry, before you move on, who would have been responsible for that attempt? Someone within the Ukrainian government, or is it an Alexei Navalny situation?
No.
Okay.
No, 7 Ukrainian officers and government officials. I'm told that at least one of them is a Ukrainian intelligence officer.
Coup d'etat.
So it would be his own government rising up against to remove him since he refuses
absolutely.
to hold an election. Okay. That's not surprising, but that's shocking.
So again, the Ukrainians are basically trying to take out their own President Vladimir Zelensky because they don't want this war to go on. They know that they can't win, and they're also continuing to ask for money from the United States, American taxpayers, to continue this war. So it's interesting to see that his own people are now going against him, allegedly. And again, MI6 had a lot to do with this as well. So interesting to see where this is going. Meanwhile, over here in America, again, the reason that this title is why, is America becoming a third world country? Well, yesterday we rose the Somali flag on, and again, we didn't do fireworks. We just rose the Somali flag. I don't remember what city it was in. But again, this is Brockton Mayor Rodriguez canceling the 4th of July fireworks display for America's 250th.
That's all I have to say.
I have something to say. You lied to us. You told us we were going to have a big celebration on July 4th here at City Hall, fireworks and everything. You said Chief Nardelli didn't so-called like it, but you were going to have it. And now we're down to a 1-hour social ice cream thing. Flag raising.
Yep. 1 hour.
Unbelievable. 250 years.
Ma'am, I know that that's not the reason why we're here, but I just want to let you know that we were not able to to get a fireworks company to produce fireworks for
Okay,
us.
yeah, right.
And we don't want to do anything illegal in this community.
We didn't want anybody, we weren't able to get anybody to pay for fireworks and produce fireworks here, ma'am. In New Jersey here, ma'am. Sorry we couldn't do it, ma'am. But we're going to have a nice ice cream party for about an hour here for the 250th year of America. Yeah, we couldn't get the fireworks company to come out. Come on.
So we're going to do the best that we can to celebrate the 4th of July on this plaza tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, right. You people didn't even try.
Thank you.
Look at this cop over here. Total stiff. This guy doesn't know what's going on. He's just like, yeah. What he said. What Rodriguez said.
That's it for questions.
Again, you always have these brown Americans who are telling us how we're not allowed to celebrate the 4th of July. You're not allowed to celebrate. You're not allowed to celebrate American heritage
Fireworks and everything. You said
because apparently that just goes against what we really need to do, right? You can't celebrate 250 years of America. We need to celebrate diversity, and we need to raise the Somali flag. This is why I say in the title of this episode that America is dying and we're becoming a third world country. Here's another episode, again, of the dying of America. ICE agents opened fire on illegal immigrant in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, after he attempted to run over the ICE agent with his car. Again, so we have more illegal immigrants trying to run over ICE agents, and now the world loses their shit because an ICE agent did their job and defended themselves from a crazy illegal immigrant. So again, ICE agents coming over here, approaching the B frame of the vehicle, doing their jobs. He's got his arm on his gun here. So you can see that the window's wide. So the window's not even rolled down. So this guy's not even rolling down his window. Obviously, the door is probably locked. He just tried to open it. Looks like he's got his flashlight out. He's threatening to break the door. It could be a walkie-talkie too, or the window. I mean, not the door. You actually have a pretty unsafe place here where this other officer is. He's right up here. Instead of being like behind that B frame, he's like right up there. You got one officer over here who's just kind of watching. Not a safe place. So again, this officer ends up breaking the window. And as soon as he breaks the window, the person accelerates. The immigrant accelerates. Drives off. Nearly runs over the ICE agent. And essentially, they're going to probably catch him too because they have the license plate. But this is America in 2026, and this is what we're dealing with. Love it. Isn't it great? More illegal immigrants breaking the law and getting away with whatever they want, and the liberals cheering it on. So why else is America becoming a third world country to me? Well, I saved some other videos too. And we're going to watch this. And so take a look at this other video we're going to check out. So in this video, again, you have Laura Trump basically wondering why Tucker Carlson has been speaking out against Donald Trump. Well, it's because Trump has been selling out to Israel hardcore.
At one time, very influential people who were huge Trump supporters, who were very strong in terms of their support for, the conservative
She is so pretty, though.
movement, MAGA, all of it, who seem to have started peddling very crazy ideas out there, like that Donald Trump is a puppet of, Israel, and that
He is a puppet for Israel. Otherwise, why would we be fighting their war, though? Like, as much as I love Laura Trump, and I love Eric Trump, I love the Trumps, it's like, she's crazy to think that he's not owned by Israel.
he's only doing the things he's doing to benefit Israel and Netanyahu. It's crazy stuff.
Then why are we giving all this money to Israel? How come we are fighting Israel's war for them? Why did Trump even say, we're not fighting this war for America, we're oil rich. We don't need to be fighting Iran. We're fighting this war for Israel. We're fighting this war for Iraq. We're fighting this war for Kuwait. We're fighting this war for Somalia or for Saudi Arabia. So even Trump has admitted that we are fighting this war specifically for the state of Israel. And I mean, look at it. The Abraham Accords, the real estate deals. We have we literally have U.S. embassies being built in Israel right now as we speak.
I can promise everyone out there is only one goal in mind at the end of the day for this president. It is the best thing possible for the United States of America, period, end of story. But this sort of thing, where now we're a couple months away from midterm elections, and you have someone like Tucker Carlson saying he's not voting for the Republicans in, the House and Senate.
Well, Tucker's not just one American who's feeling that way. A lot of Americans, they're not getting their bills paid. A lot of Americans they never asked for an Iran war. America first is not about bombing Iran. And this is what the Trumps are just refusing to understand. We don't want an Iran war. We never asked for an Iran war. We didn't vote for open borders. We didn't vote for the birthright citizenship to be held up. We voted for birthright citizenship to be destroyed. We voted, as Trump supporters, we voted for our country to be taken back and for America First to remain America First. We didn't vote for Israel to have billions of dollars handed to them, and we didn't vote for our politicians to accept billions of dollars from the state of Israel and AIPAC. We didn't vote for that. We didn't vote to bomb Iran and school children. We didn't vote to send our U.S. military out to Iran and start another 20-year war. None of this is what we voted for as Trump supporters. So Tucker is just one American out of millions of Americans who are feeling the same way. And granted, I've been super against Tucker Carlson because he's been so pro-Islam and he's been very pro, Sharia. He's been really kind of talking for the Muslims recently. And as much as I understand what he's saying, right, he's right that, the Iranians are doing more for the state of Lebanon. The Iranians are fighting for the sovereignty of Lebanon. But at the end of the day, what is with Tucker Carlson constantly talking up Qatar? And this is why Laura Loomer does call Tucker Carlson Qatarlson. So this is why a lot of people are saying that. As much as I love Tucker, as much as I love Trump, we need just America first. We need the Nick Fuentes. We need real Americans, James Fishback. We need people who care about this country, maintaining a Christian Catholic identity in our country, not choosing Muslims to run our country, not choosing Jews to run our country. We need a Christian Catholic country. And this is where my position is really at. So again, when I look at all of this, I think it's just crazy, So look at this story. This is why America is becoming a third world country. This is why I named the episode this title. It's really because of this video. So take a look at this. How many of you live in a place, whether it's rural or suburban, where you can't add anything to your home without getting the city's permission for it, to this degree of insanity? Watch this video.
Hey, so the government won't let me live in this treehouse that I spent the last 4 years building, and the reason is incredibly stupid. As we already established, the county said I could build a treehouse, and the county seats changed, and the new guy said, hey, no, never mind, you need a permit for that, and that turned into like a 1.5-year battle, and they didn't want to give us a permit, and when they finally did give us a permit, they said, okay, fine, you can build it, but you need to make it bigger, up to 1,200 square feet, to meet our minimum size requirements, so we can tax you more. So we got the permit, and now there's a new problem. Now they say that my parents cannot build a house on the same property, which is over 100 acres, by the way, because now the treehouse is the primary residence, so we can't do another house. So we meet with the county again, and we're like, hey, so the treehouse is still only 750 square feet. We have not made it bigger, which means it meets your size requirements for an accessory structure, so we should still be able to build a main house over there. Nope, that's impossible. Why is that impossible? Well, because our ordinance strictly prohibits building the accessory structure before the main house, because then people just never build the main house.
Mind you that George Washington, he literally slit the throat of politicians and British people, British tyrants, for taxing the tea at 1%. And now we have basically city council people who are telling you you can't build another house on your own land. This is tyranny. This is why the revolution happened in 1776. This is why it all went down.
Yeah, but we're actually trying to build the main house, right now. We're trying to build it, but you're saying no. So we go in circles and circles, and they're just like, sorry, it's impossible. You cannot build another house on the property. So my dad's like, well, can we just apply for a variance? And he's like, yeah, you can, but they'll definitely deny it. And then I found a loophole. I said to him, why don't we just divide the property on paper, draw an invisible line down the middle, and then my parents can pull a permit for this property, build their main house, and when they finish, we can reassemble the properties, and the treehouse becomes an accessory structure to the main house. Well, yeah, I guess I guess that could work, but you can't get a certificate of occupancy for your treehouse until your parents' house is finished, which means I can't live in it. Because in 2026, you need the government's permission to live in a house that you built. So we had to pay surveyors thousands of dollars to draw invisible lines across the property so that my parents can build on the exact same property, and then when they finish, we will pay them thousands more dollars to erase the invisible lines and put the properties back together. Otherwise, I have to nearly double the size of the treehouse. So in summary, I can't live in the treehouse because it's an illegal structure and it's not big enough. But if I make it bigger, then it's okay. But also now it's too big, so now my parents can't build a house over here. But if I draw an invisible line here, then they can build a house over here. But I still have to make the treehouse bigger. Unless I erase the invisible line after my parents' house is done, then the treehouse is okay. But I still can't live in it until my parents' house is done because you can't build the accessory structure first according to the city ordinance, even though it's already done. So I guess my wife and I will just keep living in this leaky, mold-infested camper. And what makes this even more interesting is that they tried to jack up the property tax bill this year because they claimed that the treehouse was done and that we were living in it. But we also don't have a CO and we're not allowed to live in it. So which is it? Make it make sense. I'll pay the freaking increased property tax if I can just live in my stupid house. The comments are gonna say, bro, just live in it anyway. How will they know? All that being said, my hope is that when my parents actually break ground, which should be in the next couple of months, I can convince them to give me the CO and I can actually move in. I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable request. We're not trying to cheat the system. We're not trying to work around the rules. We've got a main house and an accessory house. That's all we're trying to do here. But they're making us go run around in circles and waste a ton of money on invisible lines. Anyway, stay tuned to see how this story develops.
So this is absolutely crazy. As a real estate agent myself, a Michigan real estate agent, I can tell you I think this is absolutely nuts. And this is why, honestly, we need a revolution today. We need like a real revolution. We need an actual like 1776. This is just crazy. This is exactly why our founding fathers fled Britain, is because the king would do crap like this. Like, why is it a problem for you to build on top of your own land? Why can't you build another house on your own property that you are paying taxes for? You're paying your mortgage every month. I don't understand. Why does there have to be all these rules? You got to apply for variances. You got to apply for certificates of occupancy and all this crap because you wanted to build a tree house and then a guest house next to it. You need all of this stuff that really shouldn't be needed. This is why America is becoming a third world country. And really, you have the most incompetent people who are making these decisions and telling you that you're not allowed to make these adjustments on your home because of HOA and all of this ridiculous bull crap. Like, this is why America is becoming a third world country. We need a revolution. We need to revolt. We need a 1776. And honestly, maybe these people would learn that you don't get to tell us what we can build or cannot build on our own property that we pay taxes for and that we pay our mortgage for. That's just my position on it. And ultimately, it's crazy. It's crazy that you can't own your own land. You can't own your own home today. Like, even here in Michigan, you can own your home. You could pay it. You can own a $250,000 home. You pay all of the bills. You pay it all off, $250,000. Guess what? You can live there for 10 years, and if you don't pay your property taxes every single year, house gets taken away from you. Is your home really your own home? This is why they call it a mortgage, right? And what is a mortgage in Latin? It means a death note. So really, they've made it impossible to own land because they want an excuse to steal your land and to tax you into oblivion until you can't afford it, and then somebody else can go and buy the property from you. And they don't want you making decisions that actually benefit your own life where you can actually build on your own land. It's absolutely crazy. As a real estate agent myself, this is what we need to fight against. Other realtors should fight against it too. This is absolutely nuts. People deserve the right to have their own property and build a tree house on their own damn property without the city council saying, no, you can't do that. Well, you cannot do that. Well, you need a certificate of occupancy for the treehouse, and you need to apply for the variance, and there must be a surveyor who certifies that this land is permissible to put a guest house on top of it. It's like, this is true tyranny. So again, this is why America is becoming a third world country and how quickly this happens. Meanwhile, you got a 96-year-old woman who faces eviction for praying too hard, for partying too hard at a retirement home. The internet celebrity Lillian Droniak argues she pays $12,000 per month to stay there, and no one can stop her from having fun. She is a role model. But then again, she's paying $12,000 a month, and listen to this story.
Out of the nursing home. I just got this letter. It says you're getting kicked out if you don't stop the parties. You could read it. Parties are not allowed, and you cannot serve alcohol to other residents. Letter serves as a formal warning. I could do what I want. I pay $12,000 a month to live here. I could party if I wanna. My girlfriends are coming over tonight. We're gonna drink and gossip. It's not a party, but we do get rowdy. I can't help it. I love to party. You can't stop me. They are here.
Insane, though.
Love yous.
This is what they're doing to Americans. She's paying $12,000 a month to live at this place. And they have the nerve to say, you can't drink here. Okay, well, all of the people who are disagreeing with me would say, well, it is a nursing facility. Yeah, it's not good for the old people to drink. It's like, dude, they've lived longer than all of us. They have a right to drink and party and have fun and celebrate their lives, especially when they're paying $12,000 a month. Could you imagine owning a nursing home and you're getting paid $12,000 a month per tenant? Like, dude, you're living good and you're sitting fat. And you are going to tell some old lady that she can't have her friends over and have a party and drink some alcohol. I think it's absolutely crazy. This is why America is becoming a third world country. We need to have a revolution. We need to be able to defend our old people. You know, we need to be able to have our independence. Our sovereignty, our independence, all of these things are extremely important to protect. Again, here's another reason America is becoming a third world country. Remember, Seaside Heights, New Jersey says you can't take pictures holding an American flag on a public beach. So again, you got a bunch of good-looking women here running around with their Trump flags. Regardless of what you think about Trump, it's not the point. You have a right as an American to wave whatever flag you want, even if it's a Confederate flag, if it is a swastika flag, a World War II flag, if it's a flag of a different country. As much as I hate that, you do have the right to wave that flag on U.S. soil. And nevertheless, a flag promoting your own president. And so watch what happens. Watch what these cowardice police officers do to these young ladies.
Cops are over here.
Good looking chicks. Just having a good time.
Over a dozen cops. Oh my God.
Because we walked on the beach to take a photo with a Trump flag.
You know, you're free to go. You don't have to stay here.
Because I'm waiting for my friend. Okay. But don't you have better things to do with your life? No.
No. And it couldn't be more annoying about it. Like, these people couldn't be more annoying about it. He feels like a real badass. This cop feels like a real badass, right? And it's crazy because this is just another rule follower cop who would never go to this. You won't go to the city and actually, arrest real criminals. You won't go and arrest the, thugs that are committing real crimes, right? You won't go and arrest all the drug dealers, and you won't go arrest all the pedophiles. You won't go arrest the traffickers. You won't be proactive about that. You'll be proactive about somebody waving a flag on a beach. Insane. This is the problem with America. This is why America is becoming a third world country. What a coward police officer. And I say that as a cop myself. This is a police officer.
Of course not.
A coward police officer. This is not a police officer.
Nope, you're the focus right now.
It's easy. It's easy.
And look at his, like, he just smiles like a smartass right in her face. Like, this is why people hate cops. This is why people hate law enforcement. This is why law enforcement has such a bad name. It's because of these kind of police officers. What a total bitch.
It is easy.
It's easy to come after us. It's not easy to go after drug dealers. It's not easy. It's only Trump people that you want to come after.
You know where there's drug dealers?
It's only easy. Oh, you wouldn't know because you don't do your job. You wouldn't know because you don't do your fucking job. After people for taking pictures with the Trump.
And then they all laugh. Like, this is the most sycophantic thing. It's us versus them. And I can say that as a police officer. You'll see this all the time as a cop. It's always this us versus them mentality. It's always well, they're not the police. Ha, 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 ha. We can do whatever we want. Ha, 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 ha. And then you have these cops just laughing right in their face because they wanted to wave a Trump flag and have a good time. And when they get called out for it, they put their hands on their breasts, on their vest, and they sit there. You American, dirty Americans. Yeah, we told you couldn't wave your flag. It's just the most cowardice, cringe thing in the world.
Flag. Get a fucking job. Get a fucking job.
For real. Like, Do your job as a police officer. How about you go after real criminals? You want to see some real criminals? Let's go through some real criminals right now. Here's another traitor cop in the UK. Okay, so get this story. UK police threaten to arrest for future crime. Minority Report comes to Britain. Look at this. UK police officer threatens to arrest a man for peacefully filming in public because his presence might wind people up and cause someone else to lose their temper. This is straight up Minority Report policing. They're not arresting him for any actual crime. They're not even claiming that he's breaking the law. They're saying, we can arrest you to prevent a breach of peace, meaning we're going to punish you in case some random person gets angry at your legal activity. Think about that. If someone gets so wound up by a camera that they want to attack a person holding it, the rational response is to arrest the aggressor, the filmmaker, not the person exercising the right to film in a public space. How on earth can you justify detaining someone for something that hasn't happened and that might have never even happened? It flips justice on its head. The person minding their own business and their rights becomes the problem, while potential troublemakers get their feelings protected by the state. Officers should be de-escalating and protecting lawful behavior. The First Amendment, again, I know this is in the United Kingdom, so they don't have a free speech. They don't have a First Amendment. But again, not threatening people with arrest for hypothetical future crimes by officers. So listen to this fake cop, this fake UK police officer, all of this is coming to the United States today, by the way. This is all coming to America.
People.
Look at this.
People are approaching me.
Okay. And all I'm saying is if you carry on, then there will be issues, all right?
With the people?
With the police.
Why? How is that possible when I'm not breaking any laws?
Me and my colleague, we've explained it many times.
I hate the arrogance of cops, and I'm saying this as a cop myself. I have sworn the oath to law enforcement. I've been a police officer for a long time, and all I can say is I treat the people with respect. I treat the people knowing that they have more power than me as a cop. I know that the people, basically pay for our taxes as police officers. Their taxes pay for our salary, right? And these are people in the UK, these cops, so arrogant, so aloof, they couldn't care less about the public, and this is the way they get treated, the people. For having a camera out and, documenting your feelings, your opinions, yes, it's annoying as a police officer to have a camera in your face. Yeah, it's not the most comfortable feeling, but damn it, it's a right. And people have the right to film. People have the right to have an opinion and to be on social media and to be journalists. You don't have the right to tell somebody, we're going to arrest you because we don't like what could or could not happen.
We can arrest someone to prevent a breach of the peace.
To prevent a breach of peace, she says.
Breach of the
Look at, again, this is why women should never be cops. This is why girls can't be cops. This is why every female cop I've ever worked with has almost pretty much been totally incompetent. Like, they just don't know what they're fucking talking about, ever. Like, this is just insane.
But he has to be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
She has her nails done, by the way. Like, pretty little police officer, female cop, got her nails done. It's like, okay, females shouldn't even be cops. And because they don't understand the law. Look at this.
We're arresting you to prevent it from you doing...
We're arresting you for filming to prevent any future person that might be offended by you filming. So because you're filming, we don't want somebody to be offended, so we're going to arrest you before somebody may or may not get offended. This is complete tyranny. This is why we can never become like the UK in law enforcement.
Something wrong. We're not going to leave you to carry on winding people up.
What is this, like Minority Report, like a crime that might happen in the future? You're going to prevent it?
Prevent the breach of the peace. Have you heard about that?
Why don't you just...
But they won't arrest the Sikh Indians wielding around swords who are hacking off people's head and stabbing people and cutting off their hand, which you see every day on Twitter. No. These brave police officers will never take the time to actually go and arrest all of the thugs raping all of the native women in Britain. No, they won't arrest them. No. That's too hard, too challenging. This woman couldn't do it herself. So let's go after the easy targets, the polite people, the polite British people who understand the law. Let's take the easy prey.
Tell people to mind their own business.
Well, I wouldn't recommend you do that.
Why?
Because you're going to cause issues. We are here to stop anyone attacking anyone or anyone getting...
We are here to stop anyone from attacking anyone. If you are filming, and if you offend someone, then we have the right to prevent that breach of peace from happening. We will arrest you if you could potentially, or potentially not, offend somebody with your camera. We can't have that in the UK. This is a tyrannical state, sir. We must arrest you under the King's orders, under Keir Starmer's orders. We have been ordered to protect not the native people of Britain, but to protect the third world immigrants coming into our country. Yes, Cheerio. Like, this is completely insane.
Because your behaviour, if you carry on with some of these people, someone might lose their temper.
Yeah. How stupid. Like, this is the most brainwashed human being you could find. These are brainwashed police officers. These are totally brainwashed people. They have no concept of the law, no concept of reality. These are all brainwashed robots who have been trained and indoctrinated to hate their country and to sell their country out to third world Muslims and invaders and Jews.
And then that's going to cause a breach of peace, isn't it?
Oh, God, I should have just stayed in bed this morning, shouldn't I?
Maybe you should have.
You should have stayed in bed and not filmed anyone, because in the UK, we protect no one who believes in freedom of speech. We protect the Sikh Muslims and Sikh Indians, of course. We only protect the invaders. We can't protect you. How could you think such a thing? Meanwhile, you also have British police showing up late at night at the home of a woman with an autistic son to ask her to delete a video posted on social media because it had caused someone anxiety. The British police are a joke, and they really believe they're heroes for this. They sit around at the office talking about how heroic they are for arresting people for free speech and having an online opinion, and they think they're heroes. They really think they're heroes. They really think that they actually stand for something. They really think they make a difference. And they really think that they deserve to be police officers and that they're making a real difference. That's the crazy thing. While meanwhile, their own people are being killed, stabbed to death. They are being overrun. The entire city of England, the UK itself, the whole country is being taken over by third world migrants. Meanwhile, a woman with an autistic son, a native British woman, can't even have an opinion on social media without the British police showing up to arrest her.
What are you here for, please?
Coward.
I am.
This is such tyranny. Like, these people need to be killed, honestly. Like, these cops need to, like, not ever be given power. Or they need to have the power stripped away from them. The people of Britain need to rise up and revolt against these cops, truly, in the most aggressive means necessary. This is why the founding fathers...
The reason I'm filming you is because I'm sick of the harassment. Every time I open the door to one of your offices, they are filming me. So now you know how it feels. Now it is 2:30 in the morning. Can I ask why for a second time tonight you are disturbing me and my son in my home?
Yeah, because there's I've been made aware there's videos that have been posted onto social media, including those that were made this morning.
This morning, what made this morning?
And of my officers that have been round this evening.
Right, and...
So I'm here to kindly ask that you remove said videos from social media.
No, I don't think...
These are real police officers in Britain, in the UK. I know this isn't on American soil, but this is coming here to America. We're already seeing videos like this all over the internet. I got more videos coming up shortly after these to show you just how not just America, but also all of Europe is becoming a complete police state. And these cops need to be stripped of their badge. They need to be completely overrun, stripped naked in the streets. They need to literally be humiliated, and all of their rights need to be taken away the way that they are taking the rights of the native people of Britain away. And I say this as a police officer. As an American police officer, these aren't police officers. These are enforcers of the state, of whom are trying to destroy the rights of the native people of Britain. There needs to be no rights for these cops, and there needs to be a revolution, a real physical revolution.
I think I've broke the law, so I don't think I will.
And also, I want to advise you that you might well be committing offences under the Malicious Communications Act, okay?
Okay, well, I'm sure...
Robots. So, like, this is the stuff you see in movies. And these guys think that they are real heroes. They actually think they're real heroes. They do this to a woman with an autistic son, and they think that they're real heroes for this.
Well, Dame Diana Johnson will explain that to me when she sees the video, won't she? No. She is a qualified barrister. She wasn't a director of social services, so she'll understand my case well. At this point, my son reported abuse. You failed to protect him. He was...
remove the videos from social media.
Good night.
You need to remove the videos from social media, Mom. We are only here because of the social media, because you offended the state, you offended our prime minister, and we are only here to enforce that. We do not care that your son was assaulted by a migrant. We do not care that you were raped or you were groped by any kind of third world Muslim. We do not care if an African threatened to kill you with a knife. We do not care if a Sikh Indian takes your hand off. We do not care. We are here to enforce social media policy of the state.
Officer.
I'm advising you.
And I'm asking you to leave now, please.
Offences under the Malicious Communications Act.
Good night, officer.
Having said that, I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Good night, officer. And may I ask, please do not come back to my house and disturb again.
We'll probably need to speak to you tomorrow.
I don't think you will. I haven't committed any offences, officer, so you needn't be speaking to me at any point.
You may well have done, I'm afraid.
No, I don't think I have.
Revolution, baby. I'm telling you this as a police officer. Consider it a green light. Honestly, we need to take back our countries. These people need to literally rot in hell. All of these fake cops who are enforcing social media policy, telling you to delete a post, but they won't have the balls to go and arrest a rapist who is literally raping a native British woman. They won't have the balls to do that. They won't have the balls to go and stop a trafficking ring or do any kind of investigating on that. No. They'll welcome more of them in. They're good. You're bad because you had an opinion on social media.
You came to my house recording me. I have a right to record you.
Yes, you do.
This is my home. If you don't want to be recorded, don't knock on my door.
I've been recorded by people in law enforcement too, and I can tell you I've never complained about it. I understand that that is the right of the American people. I know that this is from England. I know that this isn't in America, but I'm using this as an example because all of this is coming to America soon. Because everything you see happening in the UK is going to be happening in the United States very, very soon. Okay, so look at this video. Now, this is in America, and again, clearly doctors, and if you say they aren't doctors, you're a racist. So look at this. You have a bunch of African Americans completely acting like animals. It's like watching World War Z, and this is happening in America today. This is what we tolerate. This is what we put up with. Again, you have American police who tell you you're not allowed to wave a Trump flag and take a picture on a beach, but then these people are allowed to do this.
For the candy, fuck you mean?
Whoa.
Literal animals. Subhuman animals. And if you notice this, you're a racist. You're a racist if you notice it and say something bad about it. Like, if you look at this behavior and if you say that this is completely insane, if you call these people the thugs that they are, if you say that, yeah, this is animalistic behavior, you are called the racist for it. And so wait and see what happens when enough of this is tolerated by the police. And if you try to record it on social media here in the United States, people like me are going to be the bad guys for talking about it. If you notice that these are total thugs and criminals, you're a racist. Literally like watching World War Z. A bunch of zombies. No parents. Like, where are their parents? You have a bunch of little kids here.
It's over a fucking chocolate bar.
Over a chocolate bar. They're acting this way over a chocolate bar. This is unreal. Over a chocolate bar.
What, bitch? Little ass bitch. Go home. Thank you for the candy. Fuck you mean?
Total ghetto thugs. And I don't feel bad for saying it because it's true.
Oh my God.
And if you notice it, you're a racist. If you say anything bad about it, you're a racist. You need to accept it and tolerate it, or else you're a racist. Like, literally, these people are animals. These are subhumans. These are thugs. And they should be treated like thugs. They should be placed in a cage, and that's true, which is a jail cell. And that's exactly what should happen. Here's some more behavior from our greatest African-American neighbors here in America. June 24, 2026. Viewer discretion advised. What great people these are. True contributors of society. Just basically head stomps this kid. Head stomps the guy. Total animalistic thug behavior. And if you say anything about it, you're a racist. Nobody doing anything about it. You got a fire chief right over here. Literally, this guy's trying to murder him. This is attempted murder. Attempted murder. He's on the ground, continuing to just fucking knock this guy out, hits him in the head. Nobody doing anything about it. Like, somebody run over this guy with your car, please. Like, honestly, do some justice. Like, he is gonna kill this guy. This guy's gonna wake up and he's gonna knock him out again. So then this guy knocks him out and then falls on the victim. America is becoming a third world country, and if you say anything about it, you're the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. Brendan Ecker, I'm the bad guy because I say the truth, and I get censored because of this. But look at this. You look at this behavior. It couldn't be more obvious. We are living in a third world country because of third world human beings. Yes, that is third world behavior. You go into a store, and because you want to go and steal a chocolate bar, and because the owner says, no, you need to pay for the chocolate bar, you then take a traffic cone and break a freaking window of that store with it. Like, honestly, that's thug behavior. That's a ghetto thug behavior. And then you have this video where this guy's been kicked in the face 3 to 5 times now. He's getting fucking knocked out. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody drives by. The police finally show up. They tackle the guy, but tackle him on top of the victim. The guy's probably going to die. Like, you look at this, and nobody's allowed to talk about it. If you talk about it, you're racist. If you talk about it, you get censored. If you talk about it like Brendan Ecker does, you're a bad person. You're an extremist. When these people need to be in prison, we need to lock them in a cage. They need to be never given human rights ever again. They should never be able to see the sun ever again from their jail cell. They should be given 1 meal a day. They should be in solitary confinement under the fucking under the basement. And they should have the key locked away. And then the problem solved. Or you just deport them back to their nation of origin. Or we could do that. But it's like any other response is insanity. And people just coping with insane, complete criminality. These people need to be in prison for life. Who knows if this kid's even gonna, like, make it? Kid's probably gonna die. And then you got these guys. How many cops does it take? You know? 1, 2, 3, 4 different cops on one guy trying to arrest this dude. Oh, never mind, a 5th cop you got here. And this guy's still resisting arrest. And he's going to say, you cops are motherfucking racist. You guys racists. Seriously. Wagging his feet around, resisting and obstructing arrest. Insane. Meanwhile, the victims over here literally probably got a concussion, a fractured skull. And hey, if you notice it, you're a racist. That's the country we live in. If you talk about it on YouTube, you're a racist. We can't promote your channel. We're going to take all of your impressions away. You're an extremist if you talk about this. Insane. It's actually just justice to talk about this. It's justice to expose these people because this is what's happening everywhere. Meanwhile, we also have a woman who fatally shot a man during an argument over a parking space at the North Lauderdale Walmart, claims self-defense. This guy was a veteran, by the way. Oh, shit. And she kills him and shoots him. Kills him. Shoots him dead. Can't even hold a gun right. Road rage incident. Another road rage incident by our wonderful African-American neighbors who love us so much and who are definitely not racists overall. Points the gun at him. The other guy saying, what are you doing? Why are you pointing a gun at me? Put the fucking gun down, probably. Happened just before 12:30 in the afternoon. Deputies got the call and found the 62-year-old man shot in the parking lot because some criminal black lady was a racist against white people, probably, and had to road rage and killed a war veteran on the spot. This is why you don't road rage. This is why you don't get out of your car. This is why you don't go anywhere near the city. This is why you shouldn't. This is why when you're around blacks, you never relax. This is where the saying comes from. Around blacks, never relax. This is why people say it. This is what happens. This is why you should walk away from black people when you see them today in 2026, because this is the way they act. This is what happens all over the country every single day. This is only one video of thousands of videos you'll see on Twitter X. And these people will never serve time in jail. She will get a bond of nothing because the judge will say, well, she was a scholar. Well, she was turning her life around. Yeah. Insanity. And nothing happens to these people. I mean, somebody has to talk about this. There's total just injustice happening in our country. You had Carmelo Anthony, who stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart, who was an innocent kid, 4.0 student, and again, Carmelo Anthony was in somebody else's tent, and he's told to leave, and so what does he do? What's the logical response? You stab the kid in the heart. And again, what happens after that? Well, the black people defend it, and they say, well, you know, Austin fell into the knife. He fell into Austin's knife. He was a scholar. He was turning his life around. He was a future doctor. Yeah, right. Ironically, Carmelo Anthony had what shirt on again? It said, fear God. Yeah, he had no fear of God. And I bet now he fears God. I bet now when he's going to be serving 35 years in prison, if he's lucky, he's not going to serve 35 years. He'll be out in probably 10 to 15 years on good behavior, which who knows. But at the end of the day, it's like this is the country we live in today. No consequences for total crime and for thuggery behavior. Nobody goes to jail for it. It's all allowed. It's all okay. So again, this is why you need to have 10 kids right here. So again, if you're somebody who's a good person and you follow the law, on a more positive note, this is really true. You need to have more than 10 kids.
I've always wanted to have 10 kids. To hear me out though, because I think I just discovered the coolest thing you can possibly do. If you have 10 kids and your 10 kids have 10 kids, because my 10 kids, I'll train them to have 10 kids, and then that generation has 10 kids as well. I'll have 1,000 direct family members when I have grandchildren. And if you just keep going, my fourth generation will have 10,000 kids. My fifth generation will have 100,000 kids. My sixth generation of family will be literally 1 million people. One more generation from there, 7 generations down, will be 100 million people. That's more people than the entire country of Canada. We could literally take over the world, and it's just 7 generations away from me.
And instead of the third world having 1 million kids, it would be like our own country. This is why you need to have more than 10 kids. You need to have a lot of kids. Completely and totally. 100% true. Meanwhile, again, in the UK, Muslims are absolutely trashing the UK. This is the consequence of living in a third world country. This is what's coming to America, guys.
Stinks too.
In Dearborn, Michigan. Remember, in Dearborn, Michigan, the police chief bragged and was very proud to have a 45% Arab police department. Well, this is what Dearborn's going to look like. I predict it. You'll see Dearborn is going to look like this. This is the UK, but again, it's all a warning for what's coming to America. This is what's coming This is what's coming to America.
This city in the UK. Look at the fucking state of it. No wonder this country's fucked. With dirty, smelly bastards.
Oh, it stinks too.
Fucking disgusting. Look at it. Fucking Jesus fucking Christ. Look at the fuck.
The sad part is people will say, oh, the UK is a dump. I don't want to go to the UK because it's a third world country now. Yeah, why do you think that is? Because they imported millions of Muslims and Somalis and Africans and people who had no concept of actually how to live, and people who disrespected the entire lands, and they conquered it and specifically to destroy it. And so now people call the UK a dump when it's like, yeah, they're a dump because they imported the third world. You import the third world, you become the third world.
Fucking state. You smell it? Monkey bastards.
There's like nothing that pisses me off more than seeing the beautiful UK where my ancestors come from. My ancestors are mostly Scottish, mostly on my mom's side, my ancestors are Scottish, a lot of Irish. And then on my dad's side, you have a lot of Swedish, Finnish, German DNA. And so it's like when I see these videos, I hate it. You know, and I have a little bit of British DNA too. And I look at these videos and it just makes me absolutely sick. This is what happens when you allow a third world country to take over your country. And this is why we can never allow it. This is why we need to actually have standards for where we live. We need to actually want to live in a beautiful country again, or we're going to completely be a third world country ourselves. You know, when we're allowing crime to happen at a degree of which has never been precedented before, and when we are allowing this total anarchy to exist in our country and nobody does anything about it, nobody talks about it, well, what do you think is going to happen? You are going to have a third world country. And this is why I keep saying, today we're living in a third world countries. So again, we can no longer accept the extraordinary high levels of sick leave in our companies. We are abolishing sick leave by telephone and introducing the requirement to submit a medical certificate from the very first day of illness. We know this is a tough decision, but we can no longer afford this competitive disadvantage caused by prolonged absences from work. This is the beginning of third world
Nachteil durch lange Abwesenheiten in den Unternehmen nicht länger leisten.
Germany Chancellor Mars.
Zum 01.01.2027 Wir befinden uns mit den nach Corona exorbitant gewordenen Krankenständen in den Unternehmen nicht ab. Wir schaffen die telefonische Krankschreibung ab.
Sick leave certificates issued over the phone. Unbelievable. Now, if you're using this if you're going to, actually enforce this against all of the third world immigrants who are coming in, then it wouldn't be the worst thing to do.
Und führen die Vorlage einer Arbeitsunfähigkeitsbescheinigung ab dem ersten Krankheitstag ein. Das ist eine harte Entscheidung, das wissen wir.
I can't even watch it. It's just crazy when you look at it. It's just, the entire Europe and America is dying. And again, if this is happening in Europe, then it's going to happen in America next. This is Representative Chip Roy. And he nailed it on pausing immigration. Just stop it. We need to. 100%. I feel like Chip Roy right now.
Of a ruling by the Chief Justice.
I'm Chip Roy. Brendan Ecker is like Chip Roy. This is how I feel.
As some sort of plaything. And now today, the United States Supreme Court manufacturing out of thin air a complete abomination of a ruling by the Chief Justice suggesting that you can simply become a citizen from being born on dirt, thereby validating the abhorrent practice of baby factories and moving people here to be born to be able to become a citizen, leaving us under no choice but to do what we must do to say, pause immigration. Just stop it. Stop all immigration, because if it's going to be exploited for people to come here when they're pregnant, people to allow somebody who's working for the Chinese Communist Party and to come here and have children to become American citizens, and then have our laws exploited like they were under the previous administration. It is why this Congress should act to pause all immigration. This Congress should act immediately to codify what the president has been doing to close the loopholes under asylum and parole, the catch and release policies, and to codify those that a future Biden and Mayorkas administration cannot do to the American people what these radical leftists did to the American people. And then dare sit here and testify under questioning by my colleagues that we need to have more taxpayer money going to the local jurisdictions to make up for what they caused.
Totally. So it's like what he's saying is the 14th Amendment was not so that the Chinese Communist Party or these Nigerians who come over here in droves, and this is a fact, a lot of Nigerians do this on record, they come over to the United States in certain territories and they will be 7-8 months pregnant. They will have the child in America, right? They will go back home and basically that child will stay here, or they'll bring the child with them back home, but that child will still be a legal U.S. citizen. And so that child will then be able to come back to the United States and become an actual president. And it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane. And this is the same thing. Chinese Communist Party has been doing this a long time. They've been basically using surrogates in the United States, American surrogates, to have Chinese babies who will be born in America, and basically that Chinese baby will have citizenship in America. Then they can one day run for politics, run for presidency, and then any kind of money they make, they kick it back to the Chinese Communist Party in China. And then they also steal our information and sell out our country. And this is how it works. And so you have liberals who are saying, you are an idiot. You don't understand. You don't understand. For the first time, the House and the SCOTUS has just been keeping up. They've just been upholding the Constitution. They're doing everything right. They're not. They're abusing. The 14th Amendment was originally made for slave owners, for slaves who had children, okay, after the Civil War. So if you were a slave after the Civil War, and if you had a child here, you had birthright citizenship. You were grandfathered in. Well, that's been exploited, and basically ever since the Biden administration, and because of Trump's appointed Amy Coney Barrett, who basically decided this, and then basically all of the women on the Supreme Court made this decision because they misinterpreted the 14th Amendment. And now you have all these liberals who are saying, see, they interpreted it correctly. See, that's what it's supposed to do. You're supposed to allow anybody to become an American citizen no matter who's born here. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. This is the country we're living in. It's completely and totally fraud, and they're exploiting it for that one reason. So this is kind of where I'm at. You know, this is from Catherine Austin Fitz. I've been loving her content. This is exactly how I feel about things.
They're looking at change. So this is a way to think about it. We have a problem, and it's a governance problem. We have a secret governance system, and if you look at where they're going, they're looking at changing how civilization works in a way which is very, very negative. You know, they basically want to end freedom for most people. And my point of view is that where they're going is very dark.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go there. I don't want to be part of the world they're building. And I don't think they have the power or the right to do this. It's very demonic. And so my attitude is we have a secret governance problem, and that's the problem that needs to get addressed. And the first thing you do to address it is you bring transparency to it. You know,
people need to wake up.
Turn on the lights.
Yes.
And that's what we're all trying to do. That's what you're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. We're just trying to turn on the lights. Because when you turn on the lights, what you realize is, you know, they're a small group of people. They can't control everything ultimately. And not only do we need to reject we need to understand who they are and what they're doing, but then we need to build plan B, because their plan's not going to work and it's going to make a huge mess. And, you know, when their mess is through, we need to be
of America or any first world country for that matter, until people are awake to the system, until people are awake to what's really happening and going on. We need to wake them up. And there needs to be a real awakening, or else it's just never going to end. Russian drones deployed by Ukrainian ground robots near Konstantinovka, disrupting supply chains, Russia says. So again, this is a lot of what we've been seeing in Russia recently. I don't want to get copyright. So pretty crazy. So the Russians have been affecting supply chains to the Ukrainians by basically taking out a lot of their different farm equipment and things like that. Pretty wild. Meanwhile, these Muslim men are going viral for showing off their impressive shotgun skills while celebrating a wedding. So again, here's more of our amazing Muslims that we're allowing into the United States. Look at this. Aren't they great? Don't they respect the firearm laws? Idiots. Like when I say America is a third world country and going to become a third world country, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like if we allow this kind of crap into our country, then we are going to become a third world country. And they're going to bring this kind of logic and all this crap to our way of life. Again, the Dearborn police chief wants to let more of these people in. It's honestly insane. This is who we're allowing into our country. Again, the Dearborn police chief thinks that that's who should become police officers. People who just definitely respect firearms laws. Not. So let's take a listen to this video.
Lebanon. Come on, guys. Israel just wants peace in the Middle East. They want a piece of Palestine. Lebanon. Jordan.
It's called the Greater Israel Project. This is what they're doing.
It is fact. Iraq, Iran, and Libya are racing to develop nuclear weapons.
Syria.
قصف جديد قصف جديد يا شباب قصف جديد ما بنهاية الأركان خالص.
Turkey and Egypt.
We have to be prepared for the next war, which will be probably against Turkey and Egypt.
Maybe they're not God's chosen after all.
This is the Greater Israel, according
You think?
to the Israelis.
The Greater Israel Project, that's the map that he's holding up right there. And then on the insignia of the Israeli IDF, this is another map of the Greater Israel, the territory that they want to take.
It is include 100% of Palestine, 100% of Jordan, 100% of Lebanon, 100% of Kuwait, 75% of Syria, 45% of Iraq, 40% of Saudi Arabia, 35% of Egypt. This going and part of Turkey too.
So tell me again that it's not about the Greater Israel Project, right? Yeah, just keep letting the Israelis do whatever they want, and let's see what happens. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, again, that's pretty much all we have time for. We'll get into this video tomorrow, maybe. At the end of the day, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. What do you think about the Iran war? What do you think about everything new that's happening in the media? What do you think about where we're at with the Israel-Lebanon, the Greater Israel Project? Again, we're going to come back tomorrow. We'll talk more about all of the massive news. Again, we're trying new variations of live streaming. We're trying to stream to multiple platforms at once and see how high we can get the quality. We're trying to maximize efficiency here. So, again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. And at the end of the day, support the show. I got nothing else. Stay prudent, stay powerful.